Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Bob Pompeani here in the Fan Cave at 412-575-2600. That's the number to call. And all you have to do is call it and air your opinions. And there probably are a lot of angry people out there after watching the Pirates lose their 10th game in a row. They're now in last place, for all intents and purposes, done. The only question is, how many of these young players are going to get a chance to play in September? And will Paul Skeens be shut down? All these negative kind of consultations that happen whenever you're in this situation where you lose 10 in a row, and they've done it with an anemic offense. Chris Mueller joins me up at 93.7 The Fan. And Chris, 1 run, 0 runs, 2 runs in this series, and that was it. They left so many runners in scoring position. They struck out 15 times last night. They struck out a lot more today. Their batting average with runners in scoring position now over this losing streak is 162. You can't get any worse than that.
No, it was horrible these last 3 games watching them attempt to play offense, but we would be remiss if we didn't say that the offense mostly did their part for a lot of the previous 7 games of this 10-game skid, and their bullpen has let them down repeatedly. But the real truth here, Bob, is when you could say potato and cite their offense, and I could say potato and cite their bullpen, what we have here is unfortunately a not very good baseball team that finally collapsed under the weight of its own issues. Even Mitch Keller, 2 bad starts in a row. Paul Skeens got nicked up his last time out. They need a lot of help. I continue to say, as disappointing as this is, and it is disappointing, I hope this drives home a couple of things. I hope Bob Nutting realizes that if he wants this team to win next year, he's going to have to pony up to allow some free agents to be brought in, frankly, to fix areas of weakness. I also would hope that the owner would take a hard look at his general manager, who's been on the job for a pretty long time now, and other than a 1-1 pitcher who almost was a can't miss, and Jared Jones, has very few major success stories that he can credit back to himself. Joey Bart is one. When Joey Bart is that high up on the list, I know an everyday catcher who has some thump is not an insignificant piece, and that appears to be what Bart might turn into. But where are all the reinforcements? Where's the system? Where's the depth? Where is anything you would expect to see this far into Ben Cherington's tenure? That is, by the way, I'm talking about things that are completely divorced from the financial reality of the Pirates' existence.
And if you look at the trades that Cherington has made over his tenure here, not many of them have produced the kinds of farm growth that you would want. He's gotten a lot of younger players who came in and looked like they could possibly be good in time, and none of them really has panned out. Jack Sawinski tops the list on that. You know, he was a guy who was supposed to be something special. Henry Davis has not done anything close to what people expected him to do as a draft pick. So, yeah, they got a lot of problems. They got to analyze everything. And next year, offense is such a big issue that they need to spend a ton of money, and not just on $2 and $3 million a year players. But bottom line is, I am not holding my breath. I don't think that's going to happen because the plan is the plan, and we'll see what it leads to. But it's just a disappointing way that this season has gone. All right, let's talk about the other story that doesn't have an end yet, the saga of Brandon Aiyuk. He's still out there, although today he showed up and he had a uniform on, or at least the gear on. So it looks like that's going to come to an end. There was a trade today. Matthew Judon goes from the Patriots to the Falcons, who the Steelers are going to play in Week 1 for a 3rd-round pick. When I saw there was a trade, I thought that might have been it, the Aiyuk. But it looks like, Chris, that it's just going to be where it is, and he's going to continue to play for them.
I mean, so if that's what we think today, that things are leaning in that direction. I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, Bob, I know it's my job. It's a fun job. I love this job. I stopped caring. I don't want Brandon Aiyuk here because I think he's overrated, and I think what they would have to pay him is not worth what he would actually produce for them. So I'm on the record as having said that. At this point, though, I don't care. I just want it to be over. I'm sick of Brandon Aiyuk updates. Adam Schefter gets paid like $10 million a year to do only this kind of stuff, and he doesn't even want to update people on ESPN. They sent Graziano out there. They called in the lefty from the bullpen because Schefter's sick of it. I don't blame him. No. This is stupid. And it's not for the reincarnation of Jerry Rice. It's for Brandon Aiyuk. Nice player. There might be 3 or 4 receivers in this year's first round who are better almost immediately than this guy.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to pay him that kind of money, then I would expect him to come in here and be an all-pro. I would expect him to be the kind of player that would deserve a $30 million a year price tag. I don't know that he's that kind of player. He's playing this smartly for his own wealth, although I could argue also he was kind of foolish for throwing down an offer from New England of $128 million. I would rather play for Drake May, I'll tell you that. I don't have a problem with that. And if that's the money he was looking for, why wouldn't he have taken that deal? Anyway, we're up against a break. We'll talk more about that when we come back. And we invite you to call us at 412-575-2600. We're right here live on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from our friend Jason Mackey of the Post-Gazette. The Pirates are currently on pace to go 76-86, same record as last season. And that is a terrible record after the way they started. It's also a terrible situation for a guy like Paul Skeens, who has so much talent, and yet the Pirates have managed to lose, I think, 7 games when he starts. And he's now essentially out of Rookie of the Year in my view. I think it's clearly right now Jackson Merrill. And it's his to lose, and he's been playing it a way that I don't think you could deny him that. Chris?
Well, if Paul Skeens falls out of the top 2, then guess what? No year of service time, because that's a big part of this. If you have a Rookie of the Year winner or top 2 finisher, then that player accrues a year of service time. That's part of the deal. And I believe a draft pick goes back to the Pirates or the team that has that guy. So there is some incentive to not try to manipulate the situation if you are a team. But yeah, if he falls out of the top 2, that's going to be ugly. I feel like a couple more good starts, he would still be there. I'll point this out too, because I saw this point made about this year's team, and I think it's a very good one. I don't know, Bob, if you've heard this as much as I have, but people made comparisons almost the way that they themselves talked about it. Was like this was the 2012 team. They were a year away. They needed one more year, and then the next season was going to be their really good one. That 2012 team, do you remember? They were like 16 games over 500 at one point. I mean, they were something like close to 20 games over. It was a monumental collapse down the stretch in September for them. They were an objectively very good team for a long part of that season. What is the Pirates' maximum games over 500 this year? Like 3?
Yeah,
literally.
not much.
Somebody could go other than those first other than that
5-0
first
to start the year.
You know,
That's it.
yeah. Other than that first 2 weeks of the season, in the functional part of the season that we would actually be measuring and saying this isn't a small sample size, I think the best they've gotten back to is 3 games over. So my point in bringing that up is just to say, how close is this team really? I kind of alluded to it in my opening remarks. They're not as close as I think they want to believe, and my problem with that is they're going to, as you pointed out, more likely than not try to search for answers from within, and I don't think there are many.
No, especially hitting. Absolutely. Character Matters on Twitter. Hit us up at KD Pomp, at Chris Mueller PGH. Says, how important is winning to Bob Nutting? I think you know the answer there. It's profit over winning. I think until that's proven differently, that's going to be the take, and I think it's an accurate one. He's got to put some money into this. We also have this from Brian Zedek, who says, year 5 of a rebuild should not have a team go on a 10-game losing streak at any point of the season. All right, let's get to the lines. David in the north side joins us right now, our first caller. What's up, Dave? How are you?
Oh, yeah, Joey Barton and McCutcheon, they have 9 RBIs between the last 4 games, between both of them. They only scored like 15 runs in the last 3-4 games. That's terrible. They're the ones that are hitting the RBIs. I don't know what's going on. That's pretty bad with a 37-year-old, your best player.
I agree. Especially one who's breaking down the way McCutcheon is, Dave, and he is. Yet he's still, a couple of home runs the other day in Los Angeles. That's a game they probably should have won. But he and Bart have been the only offense, period. Ke'Bryan Hayes I don't know what to do with Ke'Bryan Hayes. I don't know what they can do with Ke'Bryan Hayes. Would someone willing to absorb that contract to think they can make him right as a hitter? Or is his back a legitimate problem that'll never get rectified?
Both. I mean, his back's going to be a problem. I think that's obvious, and I just don't think he can hit. I have a Ke'Bryan Hayes solution, though, Bob. I think you'll love this one. I propose a new position in baseball. Much like the creation in 1973 of the designated hitter, I would like to bring forth the designated fielder who fields his position but does not hit. So the pitcher won't hit. The fielder that you choose to be a designated fielder will only field and will not hit, and you can fill their spot in the lineup with a real bat. Ke'Bryan Hayes for designated fielder 2025.
And he would be a $100 million a year player then, if that's the case. Oh, my goodness. That's what it's come to. All right, let's go to the next caller, and that would be Steve in Texas who joins us right now. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Bob. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Good. What's up?
Hey.
If I was Ben Cherington, I would make 2 phone calls tonight. The first one would be to Joe Madden and say, Joe, I need you here by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll talk about the finances, your salary, and we'll go from there. And then the second call I would make it to Indianapolis, and I would say, I need these 4 guys by 12 o'clock noon. I need Nick York, he's batting 325. I need Cook, who's batting 280. I need Henry Davis, 3 times the charm. You're batting 300. And I need Bubba Chandler. I need those 4 guys here, and let's start going towards next year.
Steve, I will agree with the latter part. Not all of those guys, but I agree. It's to the point now. I don't want to see any more of these guys who are in this lineup. I don't. If you can get a head start on trying to evaluate some of these younger guys, I'm all for that. I'll put whoever out there wants to be out there and see what I got. Because quite frankly, watching Connor Joe, watching Ke'Bryan Hayes, watching Ji-Hwan Bae, watching all the ones who fall in that category, I don't want to see them anymore. Chris, I don't.
I subscribe to most of Steve's newsletter. The Joe Madden thing, I mean, they need a real manager. I think Derek Shelton's probably on his last legs here. I think it went from quiet contract extension to this streak gets much longer. Like, if it stretches to 15 games, which, as I know, everybody watching realizes is a real possibility, I think he's getting fired after this year. I think somebody's got to wear what has happened here, and it'll be the manager, which is fine with me. I don't think he's done well enough to keep his job. If they wanted to make a home run swing for Joe Madden, go for it. I don't think managers make a huge difference, but I think Madden would be good for them. I don't think Joe Madden would want this job necessarily other than managing Paul Skeens. Quickly, as for the other part, the first 2 names, absolutely bring them up. Henry Davis, if you want to. Bubba Chandler's going to be up next year. That's the bottom line.
I just want to see Henry Davis get some sort of good mojo at the end of this year. And I don't care how it happens. Just
then you might want to keep him in AAA because I don't know if he can hit major league pitching regularly.
I want to see something up here, and then it leads to whatever situation will happen in catcher. Let's go to Will in McKees Rocks. Will joins us right now on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. What's up?
Hey, guys. How are you tonight?
Good. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to get your opinions on this for the Pirates. Who do you think loses their job first, Cherington, Shelton, or Travis Williams?
I don't think Travis Williams.
Shelton.
Yeah,
I don't think Travis is in any danger.
No,
I think
he does
Shelton's
a totally
going to lose
different
his
kind of job.
though.
He's not involved in this part of it. So, somebody should take the blame.
Charrington should be, by the way, Charrington should be in danger. I said that Shelton's going to lose his job. I do think that's going to happen, especially if this gets any worse. If they lose close to 90 games, which I know sounds like funny now, like, come on, they're going to win at least 17 more games, except they really might not at this rate. He'll definitely lose his job. Charrington should too. And I know what scares people about that. Oh, what if the new GM comes in and wants to tear it down to the studs again? They might. But, like, at some point, the performance your team does or does not have matters. He has been on the job a long time, and they have done nothing. Everyone got excited, myself included. They had Jones, they had Skeens, they had Keller, they had Reynolds playing well. Maybe Cruz is starting to really come around. Hey, even Rowdy Tellez looks like a different guy post May 31st. The bottom line is they're 56-64, and they look like they have flatlined completely, and they don't have reinforcements. That is on the GM, among other people.
And I think it's only 2 teams that have a worse record in the National League right now than they do. Let's go to Rick in Altoona, who's watched the curve on a daily basis, I'm sure. So, Rick, what's going on?
Okay, let me give you the numbers. If the answers are from within, I don't know where they are. We lost to Bowie tonight 6-1. We out-hit them 5-3. We had 10 strikeouts on offense as a team, and our pitchers had 12 walks tonight. Where are the answers from within?
Well, I don't know who pitched tonight, but the answers aren't there. Let's squeeze in Jim in Latrobe. Jim, go ahead.
Hi. Hey, just a couple of things. If I was nutting, when that plane lands from San Diego, Sheraton and Sheldon would be out of a job. And to top it off, that game on Friday night, Nutting wants to make more money on it. You can't even watch it on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. It's a pay-per-view type of thing. Then also, the Pirates haven't won a game that Scheme started since before the All-Star break.
Yeah, and it's not like Chrissy's pitched badly. He just can't get any run support whatsoever. Nobody can.
I mean, they're just There's only so many ways I can say they are a really deficient ball team in many areas, and I think that is being laid bare in spectacular and ugly fashion right now. And again, I hope the people who have the power to make things different try to, but I don't know if they care.
The more I think about it, I like your designated fielder idea. I do. I think that's a good idea. Let's have 2 DHs in the lineup. Why not? In fact, I would trade when Paul Skeens pitches. If we only have to have one, have him bat, and then someone hit for Hayes. I think that would be a good idea. Anyway, we're due for a break. We'll take it, come back with more. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDK Plus and 93.7 The Fan. Boy, I was looking forward to Chase Claypool. He's now on injured list. He's out for the year. He won't play. Ben DiNucci brought in, and he will play. Boy, Ben DiNucci, you know, it's an interesting career and what he's had to go through. I think he was an XFL leader in, you know, passing yards when he played there, was with Dallas for a while. Some of these guys, Chris, when you look at the resumes, how many places they have to go just to try to keep this dream alive, and he's trying to do that.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him, obviously, a local kid. It's honestly the equivalent for some of these quarterbacks of like being a 4A baseball player where the bat plays in the XFL, so to speak, but it's just not enough in the NFL. It's a different kind of animal. And to that end, by the way, speaking of quarterbacks, I say 2 series for Russell Wilson in this game. I want to see 2 series. If the first one is exceptionally crisp, I would like to see Russell Wilson removed from the game, but 2 is probably my magic number, Bob.
Well, how about if they're both bad? I mean, bad.
I don't know. I mean, if they're really bad, like bad is one thing. If he's missing on throws maybe, or he has one go off somebody's hands, or there's a couple running plays that yield nothing and he just doesn't hit a 3rd down throw, that's one thing. If he's fumbleitis here, if it's like Justin Fields, then maybe you send him out there for 1 more to knock the rust off. Mm-hmm. But I think I only need to see 2 series from him.
Yeah, I hope to see him for sure. I mean, he took a lot of snaps today, first team. So you'll see the game coming up Saturday night, KDK, beginning at 7. Pre-game coverage begins at 6. Chris, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Bob, it's always a pleasure. I got Old Stonewall with Starkey and Zeiss on Friday in the morning. Your thoughts? I think there's a 4th man, a mystery man for our scramble. What do you think is going to be the team score here?
Well, all I know is you better putt well out there. Some of those greens can be very nasty and keep the ball in play. It's the same everywhere, but especially out there. So I don't know. I think you may win, though. I think Starkey's in a funk.
Win!
He's in a funk. Good night, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 10:35.